20-year-old women are very interesting because they grew up seeing people like myself and older really screw up dating.
It is the wild, wild west. It used to be the World Wide Web, but now it's the wild, wild west.
Finding love, it's a pursuit as old as humanity itself. But the how of it, that's constantly evolving. Long before swiping right and meticulously curated profiles, people were seeking connection in ways that seem remarkably analog.
An online dating coach is someone that actually helps singles find love on the internet or from their mobile dating apps. And considering so many singles are looking for love online right now, when their friends aren't fixing them up anymore, they actually come to people like me, who have been doing this for years, to craft their profiles, teach them how to communicate, and to get the dates from online to offline so they can happily, join and start a new relationship.
So how has dating changed in the 10 years that I've been coaching? It's changed dramatically. It's amazing how different it is. When I started, and this is where I start feeling old, I think there was maybe only one dating website, or there were only a couple. Match.com was one of them. There was no Tinder, there were no apps, swiping, none of that.
Keep in mind, we started with dial-up internet, and then when the iPhone was released, shortly after, a lot of mobile dating apps emerged. So technology has actually sped up the process so singles can meet much more quickly. Maybe hours instead of weeks.
Technology totally rules the dating scene. It's changed everything. I mean, it really has. The invention of, we could go on a whole conversation about the internet and how that's changed everything, but in terms of dating, technology and location-based technology especially has changed how we even find people. It's no longer, who lives in your neighborhood. If you want, you could go on a site or app and find someone half across the world.
If you're dating online, you have an opportunity to meet someone who's not in your regular social circles. They don't go to the same church. They don't go to the same grocery store. Maybe they live, a few miles away. Maybe they live down the street and you just still haven't met them. So the dating landscape is great because you have an ability to date 24 hours a day, at least to chat 24 hours a day. You can set up dates through the convenience of your mobile phone. You get push notifications when someone writes to you, and the next thing you know, are you free for coffee later? Gee, why not? I don't have any other plans. Maybe I'll meet this guy for coffee.
That's what's amazing. But again, that's what makes it very tempting for people, because it's just the world is literally your oyster. You can find you can find kind of anything, anywhere, at any moment in the day. At 3 a.m. you could go on something and find somebody. And that's amazing, but also really scary if it's not used with some level of respect.
The first matchmaking service as we know it emerged in 1685, when the first personal advertisement was published in a British newspaper called the Collection for the Improvement of Husbandry and Trade. By 1700, matrimonial agencies were actively helping London's upper class find suitable matches. But the true revolution began in 1959, when Stanford University students used an IBM 650 computer to create Operation Match, pairing students based on questionnaires. Operation Match charged $3 and matched thousands of young people, setting the stage for a new era where technology and romance intertwined. This primitive algorithm would become the great-grandparent of modern digital dating.
In the space of dating websites, initially it was the shame attached to them, and it was oh my God, don't tell anyone I'm on a dating site, oh my God, and the shame and the horror. And now it's most people I know have at least tried a dating site or dating app, even if it was for fun, So that's what's changed. It's more mainstream for sure. It's all age groups. It's not just a certain age bracket that's using these sites. It's used for finding a partner. When I think in the beginning it was more about finding sex or, an easy hookup, and now people do use it to find, boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse. The fact that it's become so mainstream is huge, It's like, I tell my grandmother who's 90, Tinder, she's like, oh, I've heard of that. Like, that's crazy, right? She doesn't use it, but because that would be amazing and a whole other story. But yeah, I mean, the fact that she knows about what's happening, I mean, that's huge, and it's a huge shift in the whole dating industry, so to speak.
In 1995, Match.com launched, marking the first mainstream online dating website. By 1998, AOL chat rooms were hosting millions of romantic conversations, and in 2000, eHarmony introduced its scientific approach to matching compatible partners. The landscape changed dramatically in 2004 when Facebook launched, though it wasn't initially intended for dating. The real transformation came in 2009 with the launch of Grindr, the first location-based dating app, followed by Tinder in 2012, which popularized the swipe mechanic we know today.
And not to mention, especially the dating apps, and sites, a lot of them are free. So that's the other thing. I think that, back in the day, like, let's say pre-dating site and dating app, if you wanted any sort of help with dating, you would have to pay money to like a matchmaker or someone who had services that were kind of expensive that would help fix you up with people. And that's changed. We all have, again, in the palm of our hand on our devices, we can literally be our own matchmakers in some ways. Maybe not good matchmakers for ourselves, but we have the capability of finding people on our own.
Online dating became popular, I would say, really in conjunction with maybe Facebook starting maybe at the same time. And of course, mobile phones, the iPhone helped really legitimize online dating. But let's keep in mind the largest dating sites, such as Match.com, they started in 1995, and eHarmony started in 2000. In the beginning of online dating, though, people just didn't want to tell anyone they were dating online. It was hush hush. I met him at a bar, at a friend's house, at a wedding.
Although some feel that these digital playgrounds are a great place to find meaningful, lasting love, others see them as just a place to hook up, providing a never-ending cycle of bed buddies and rarely providing anything long-term or meaningful.
It's so funny because I feel like there's so many assumptions we make about millennials or post-millennials. Let's just say 20-year-olds, okay? 20-year-old women are very interesting because they grew up seeing people like myself and older really screw up dating. And so they're really kind of like rejecting everything that comes with the word dating and everything that was dating. They're all very aware of the word consent. So not that they aren't looking for sex. They're more choosy about their partners and what they're looking for, I'd say, than older women. I would say older women that I've coached, let's say 30s and up, especially when you get into like maybe women who've been divorced, it is a whole other thing. I think there's a lot of women I've coached that are looking for a relationship, but there's a lot of women who are older who just want sex.
And so what's happening is people are sending sex before they even meet. So basically they're having sex before they meet in person because they're sending graphic sex to each other. And don't think for a moment that if the relationship doesn't go south, that might not end up somewhere with someone else that you might know, or publicly on the internet, or in a blog post, or the worst case scenario on a revenge porn site.
A lot of them are feeling kind of unfulfilled and they are seeing all this stuff with apps, and it's way easier for them. It wasn't easy for them 20 years ago when they were single because there weren't apps and there wasn't the internet and all this. So now they're in a place where they're, newly divorced, they're fresh and on the scene, and they can literally find whatever they want.
Most people tell me they stay in relationships because they dread the fact that they'd have to actually go out and date because they haven't been on a date in 20 years or 25 years. But dating industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and there are, at least 1/3 of the singles in the United States, actually closer to 1/2 of all singles in the United States have tried online dating. So I look at it as the biggest digital playground, And I think it's a great opportunity for people to meet.
And I think a lot of women would be surprised that there's a lot of men, especially in the 30s to 40s age bracket, that are totally having like a biological clock thing happening for them. And I've had so many men complain to me that they can't find a good woman that is ready to settle down. And there's a lot of women who just want to play the field and aren't ready to like commit. I've heard that consistently.
As we entrust our love lives and families to technology, critical questions arise. Are these platforms perpetuating bias? Behind every match, every conversation, and every digital spark lies a complex web of algorithms designed by teams of engineers, psychologists, and data scientists who have essentially become modern-day matchmakers for billions of people worldwide. Who are the architects of this digital romance? Who decides who you see, who sees you, and ultimately, who you might fall in love with? Today's dating algorithms know more about your romantic preferences than you do. They track your behavior patterns, analyze your language, and even predict your compatibility before you've exchanged a single word. But while we're busy looking for love, these systems are looking for patterns that can be monetized, optimized, and exploited. Algorithms are not neutral. They're created by people with biases, whether conscious or unconscious. If you've ever been on eHarmony or heard of it, this is someone you should know. Because Dr. Galen Buckwalter was one of the original architects of eHarmony's matching algorithm. Just wait until you hear what he has to say.